Hello and welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast.
At what age do we learn how to have better conversations? At what age do we learn to have better conversations with ourselves?
Yodel-a-hee-hoo. Welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast. It is me, your host, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I'm happy you're here. Today, before we get rocking and rolling, I've got a recommendation for you in the form of a book. I'm reading this one on Audible. I'm not even done with it yet, but it's already been so profound. It's already taught me so much. It's already just had so many revelatory moments where I'm just saying, what? No way. If you believe that a book has the power to change your life, this is the one. It's called Breathe by James Nestor. Breathe, the new science of a lost art. Check out his podcast interviews. Check him out online if you want like just a little bit of tidbits of what you're getting into with this book. But just let me say, if you suffer from sleep apnea or any sort of breathing problems, snoring, any of these things, this is your answer. Definitely check this book out. Breathe by James Nestor, Nestor. I'm reading it now. It's fantastic. I might just go on talking about it multiple more times on this podcast. I think it's going to be a huge answer to a lot of people's different problems throughout the world. So Breathe, James Nestor, check it out. Today, we've got my friend, Abrielle Dunn on the podcast. Can't wait for you guys to meet her. Here we go. Let's get rocking and rolling. I am recording on my end. We can have just kind of a soft start. I figured I can just say, welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast. I'm here with Abrielle Dunn.
That's me.
Do you go by, is Haley your middle name? I know your model page is Abrielle Haley.
That's just because I think Abrielle Dunn is a very strong finish to a name. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Dunn.
So I feel like Abrielle Haley sounds a little bit more majestic. Abrielle Dunn sounds like that's my business name.
I actually feel that. I feel like Abrielle Haley is kind of the more feminine side of yourself in a way.
Yeah. Plus that account is sort of, it's not my personal stuff. I just post very rarely on that. I've only just recently started posting. So, you don't really get an accurate picture of me, so it's kind of who I want you to see. And so Abrielle Haley kind of sounds like nice and relaxed, and that's not really who I am.
There was a crazy tinkle in your eye when you said that. Isn't it interesting how with social media, it's such a strange thing. We talk about social media a lot and just kind of its effects on who we are and what we do and on society and all that. I think it's interesting because I have a separate poetry account that is.
Oh, I follow it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in my freeness there. Like I feel my vulnerability can be even more vulnerable and more open. Like whereas my Jacob from the internet account is, I try to be as authentic as possible, but there is a little bit of boxing because there's a brand you're trying to communicate.
Right.
Even if your brand is authentic. I don't know. Do you ever feel a different pull? Like, say you're posting to your personal account that doesn't have as many followers, like for your friends, is to be authentic. Here's what I'm really doing, and then your modeling account. Do you feel different?
I actually, on my personal account, I've actually eliminated some followers, and so I think I'm down to like 60 people. Like I have nobody on there. I purely feel like, I can just post whatever colors on my feed I want. I can post whatever caption I want or no caption, or I can just post whatever I want. And then on my other account, everybody and their mothers that I know sees it. So literally, like my friends and their moms follow me. So my goal in my center, and I posted it, my last post said, "This is my center," and it's a picture of me going like that. That's kind of like the center of my energy, where I just feel like everything is light and everything is good and it's just relaxed and like glowing. I like white. I like all that kind of stuff. Like it's just pure good. And that's kind of like my brand and the message I like to portray and the energy I like to give out. And just in my general life, like I try and be that energy and that happiness and the positivity and just the good vibes. And, you know, everyone obviously isn't that way, but that's kind of like my brand. That's what I try and put out. It's just the nice, at ease, let's breathe, that kind of thing.
I love that. Tell me more about your brand, like when you think of my brand or what I'm trying to communicate. Does that change your actions day to day? Is it something that like motivates you trying to represent a brand and
It's not that I'm trying to represent a brand. It's that I've aligned my brand with who I feel like I am. And so my brand is mostly my identity. And I try and keep that in all things. So like I am very authentic. I'm very vulnerable. I analyze my own thoughts, so I'm happy to share my thoughts with other people. I like to, you know, talk about my struggles and how I've gone through things, how I figured them out, and then how, like, what the outcome was and how I came out on top. And I value authenticity because it just makes you feel good. And I feel like that's just like the right type of energy that people should have. And I feel like if more people were authentic with their own feelings, I know a lot of people who think that they feel a certain way, but maybe they haven't thought about it enough. And it's very like, sorry, I just got distracted. The way I feel about myself is the way I put myself into other things. And so in everything that I do, I'm like representing that brand, but it's just who I am. I'm never going to represent another version of myself. I always have the same me. Like there's no difference. When I talk to children, you know, I don't curse, but I'm the same. I talk to them like they're a person. I talk to them like they're an adult. If I am talking to, you know, anyone I work with, I'm the same. Like I'm me. When I'm talking to my boyfriend, I'm me. When I'm talking to my parents, I talk to my parents just like I would talk to anybody. Like I don't have any secrets. I don't hide anything. And that just like brings that like glow about me. That's where I try and do that. And so in my work, like I'm constantly trying to be my best and be on top, and I don't give excuses because that's just hiding. And I'm always trying to just be so authentic. And then I've started my own LLC. And so I do my own video work and I talk to my own people for that. And even in that, like I put my best work out, I put my best foot forward. I'm just always trying to like, I'm passionate about your project. I'm passionate about what you're doing. You're passionate about working with me. And like, this is just a passion project that we're both doing. And like, it's the creativity that's around, and everything just makes me feel like, have you ever seen Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
Of course.
So when he stabs the diary and Tom Riddle like explodes with light, that's what I feel like on a daily basis. I feel like I'm just like exploding with light.
Tom Riddle exploding with light.
Yeah, but I'm not dying.
Yeah, I like that. Do you? What comes to mind is this term. I forgot who said it, but being in right relationship with yourself. And I feel like as a creator, like any content or any sort of branding or any sort of venture that you're going on, when you can be in right relationship with yourself, you have this circle of like self reaffirmation of like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This feels just right. I'm not strangling this to get it to how I need to go. I'm just doing my thing. You talked about your brand and your LLC. Tell me more about that. I want to make sure everybody knows all the cool stuff you do. I feel like you have your hands in a lot of cool stuff.
My LLC is kind of on the DL, but not purposefully. It's just that number one, I don't have a lot of time. And so I'm really just working very slowly on it getting its legs and things like that. But what it is it's what I do. It's creative and digital media and design and production and things like that. But it's less of what you and I do, the events, and it's more of just the digital side, the videos, the marketing material, the graphic design, things like that. And I want to specify that I've learned the difference between a graphic artist and a graphic designer.
What is that?
And I am a graphic designer. I can design assets. I'm not great at like making my own assets. I'm not an illustrator. I'm not an artist. I'm not any kind of like that.
Right.
But if you tell me like, here are the things that we have, can you put them into a design and make it look nice? Yes, that's my background. I've done a lot of newspaper design, layout design. I've won awards for my newspaper layout designs. I've always been doing digital design. And then as I got into video editing, that's my flow state. Video editing is where I'm like, oh my God, what time is it? 5 hours have gone past. I haven't eaten, I haven't moved, I haven't done anything. Wow, like, and my video looks great.
Yeah, getting into the zone.
Yeah, that's where I am. So, with my LLC, I am doing that because that's what makes me happy. Those are the types of, I hope to move from me doing the projects to managing others doing the projects to help me grow and get more clients and things like that. But right now, that's what I love to do. So that's where I'm focusing on. And I've chosen my niche market to be motivational speakers because that's, something that we are both familiar with and something that, so the LLC is called Elevate Media and it's spelled ELLE, like my name, Elevate. I added 2 L's and some people think it's wrong, but it's not wrong.
I like it.
Thank you. So the point of it, I want to elevate designs, and it's a little cliche I've looked up a lot of companies called Elevate and it's all the same thing. Like we're trying to lift, we're trying to elevate, we're trying to, whatever you're doing, we're going to make it that much better, whatever. So I'm on that train of, I want to elevate everything that you're doing, but I think it aligns with my personal goal in life to just, which I don't know yet. Obviously, I don't know my full potential, but I just feel like I'm supposed to spread all of this energy. Like I feel like I'm just full of it and exploding with it, and I want people to have it. It has come from when I was younger that I was always that person that you could come to and I would just send you novels of advice and how to help you and I'm here for you and all of these kinds of things. And I was always that person and I still am that person. And I'm the type of person, like when anyone needs help, I will drive however many hours to go help them if they need it. Like, I'm just like, I'll drop everything and go. Like, I just want to help. I just want to spread good stuff. And so I found that the way to spread, there are people who are putting out good messages, but they're not being heard because they either don't have good enough videos, they're not making videos, they're not putting themselves out there, whatever. And so I want to help people who are putting positive messages out get their messages heard. And so that's kind of where I am. I've been working with someone he works in like business strategy, and he just had an event called The Uprising. And so he had Elevate Media produce his Uprising videos. And so that was pretty cool. And we had a great relationship. So I'm building that relationship there. And it's been really fun to build my own LLC and figure out what I want to do with it. But it's also, it's kind of scary, but I don't want to I don't want to paralyze myself by how many options there are and how many people I'm sure are doing the same things that I'm doing.
Right.
Because there are so many opportunities and I think there's enough for everybody. And I'm a huge proponent of failing forward. So if I continue to invest my time and nothing happens or nothing comes of it, or, I make a business relationship and it turns out poorly, or, anything happens, like I'm going to learn from that experience and keep moving forward. And everything I've been doing with the company so far has been awesome. So I'm just happy to do that. And I'm happy to see it grow. And I'm happy to hopefully get more people who, are into the motivational speaking that need video services. Guy that I linked up with, he was telling me he was just thinking about how he didn't have anybody to produce videos for him and he wanted to do video projects. And I was in his inbox that day being like, hey, do you need any video projects?
Word.
So I'm putting myself out there. I'm just contacting random motivational speakers on YouTube and I'm, like doing cold emails, but it's me personally emailing, being like, hey, I saw your stuff. I really like the message you're putting out and I want to work with you. So.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually cool to hear. I feel like we've briefly touched on this, but I didn't know it was this in depth. I'm super excited for you. That's awesome. Do you find, because so the work we do, we both we've worked together on a lot of student organizations where there is a lot of motivational speakers, keynote speakers. So we've both seen quite a few. It's something. It's part of the job that for me, especially when we're working live, for audio. So when I'm working audio, that's the time when I get to like, all right, well, he's talking, I'm good. So I get to absorb it, and I value that honestly in my job. Like I really enjoy listening to motivational speakers.
I do
What?
also.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot over the years. When you think of motivational speakers, or when you even the feeling that you feel that you are trying to, like, now that you have a company going forward, you're like, the feeling that I've felt within me when I hear motivational speakers, I wish that on other people. What is that feeling too? Because I'm always trying to pick up a couple extra people, like people who are like, well, the motivational Tony Robbins thing isn't really my style, but I think that everybody values from these just corners of human communication and speech, especially when someone's up on a stage and they're telling you their authentic story. Here's how I conquered this part of my life. Here's how I deal with these parts of my human emotions, and here's how you can too.
I think that when people receive something, they can receive it as many times as they do in their life, but it takes that one time that they receive it correctly that it really resonates with them. And so I think what you're mentioning about the Tony Robbins thing, I feel that, like, I'm not a fan of Tony Robbins, but I'm a fan of motivational speakers and people who speak like him. He just doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important for people to be exposed to higher levels of thinking, people who were lower and have gotten higher because of whatever they've gone through and whatever things they've overcome. Because I think a lot of people don't think that it's possible to overcome something, or it's not that they don't think it's possible, they just don't, it's not in their realm of thinking at all. And so, like, I know people who, I won't name any names, but someone that's really close to me, she just kind of lives her life and works a minimum wage job and doesn't really care. And her boyfriend's a minimum wage job too. And they live in like a nice apartment that's, whatever, but that's it. Like, they are fine with that. And she works at like Plato's Closet or something. And it's just, that's what she's just going to do. And I want more for her, and I want her to see that there is more out there. And I feel like some people just, their life is so their life that they just can't imagine anything outside of it. And my message every day to anyone I talk to is that you can wake up every day and do it differently. And like, you can wake up and quit your job if you want to. You can quit your job and then find a new one. Like, you can quit your job, lose your apartment, and you have a completely different life. I've moved out of an apartment in one day, and I had nowhere to go. And I put my stuff into storage units, and I was sleeping on friends' couches. And then I moved into a friend's room, and then I moved into a house I found on Craigslist, and then I moved back into a friend's room, and then I lived at home, and then I finally found an apartment. And it was just, it's crazy, but that's what I made my life because I was uncomfortable with what it was.
Right.
And I feel like people are so comfortable in what they're doing that they don't reach for more. And I feel like listening to motivational speakers, or just having access to them and knowing they exist and hearing their messages, that's just so important. And that's what I'm always trying to get people to do. And so your question of what do I want people to feel? Inspired. Like, I want them to feel inspired. I want them to know that there's more. I want them to know that their way of doing things is not the only way. There's so many things in life that you've been taught that aren't the only way to do things, like my mom, when she cooks, she always cuts the fat off meat. And I started cooking and the fat in the skin. I started cooking and keeping the skin on meat, and I'm like, this is delicious. Why would you do anything differently? Like, so there are just little things everywhere in every aspect of your life that can be done differently, that you've been taught are the way to do things. And then you do them differently, and you're like, this is so much better. Why wouldn't I have done that before?
Right. Yeah.
So that's
So
what I get from it.
do you feel that, because I share some of those sentiments. I'm always and I guess I haven't always been this way, but I think naturally try to see the good in people, to put it simply. Like it's um we, talking about, your friends you were mentioning. It's like, it's not that, their life is terrible or they're messing it up or anything. It's just like, dude, I know you and I know you're amazing, so I want you to tap into that. Like, because
Yeah.
for me it's a lot of this, hey, like, don't you remember we're going to die one day? Like, you should really try to live a self-actualized life. I think a lot of people like us we just see the best in people, or the parts that we do connect with in people, that we love about them. We want the rest of the world to meet them on that level. And so when you kind of wake up every day, or just add that momentum to your life of, what can I do today that's incredible? Like how can I feed the good wolf in me rather than the wolf who just wants to be comfortable? Like, because today what I can do, I can wake up and I can just do the bare minimum. Like, okay, my bills are paid. I didn't fight with my neighbor. I took care of my business, but I didn't go the extra mile. I didn't push myself. I didn't think about my future. I didn't think about what could I do for 10 minutes a day for the next 10 years that will add up to something incredible that I'm going to be very proud of.
Yeah.
I think tapping into that and just seeing that in people shines through. I feel like, and you definitely have an ability to do it, because we've been friends for a while. And I feel like we'll get into these long text streams where I feel more confident in myself afterwards. We'll kind of empower each other. I always like to say easily inspired. I love to be inspired. And sometimes we're easily down on ourselves, especially as creatives. We're always comparing ourselves. We're talking about social media. Sometimes we feel a little confined by our brand or what we want to do. But when someone can believe in you or insert that inspiration into your life, it's kind of like, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna lean more into that. So yeah, I feel like you would be good. I mean, just as like a manager spot, creative director, you're good at understanding people where they're at, and you can connect with that version of them really well. You've always been really good at that. Where did you go
Yeah,
ahead, Abrielle?
I think I'm very emotionally intelligent about myself. I spend a lot of time studying myself, analyzing my thoughts. Why did I think about thinking that thought?
Same.
I get very into it. And so I understand where I'm coming from, and I understand my creative struggles. And so I also, when I was in school, I studied video games and I was the producer. And to be the producer, to major in video games, you have to enter into every single part, every role. So I've done coding, I've done illustration, I've done the, what is it? Game design, level design. I've done UI design. I've done, the story design, coming up with the narrative. Just I've done every role in video games. And so once I got to the producer status, doing all the documentation and managing my team, and I managed a big team of 16 to, I think at most I had like 20-ish people. I had to understand what they were going through, and if I was assigning them deadlines, what I was asking of them. Like if I was to say, I need you to have this feature done tomorrow, I need to know that I'm asking them to do 48 hours of work in 24 hours. And so I'm very conscious of that in my job and the work that we do. Like, I'm a creative person. I know I try to wrap my head around what everyone is doing. And so whether it's lighting design and I know someone needs to sit down and plug in their console and figure out how the lights are going to do their thing and go through the script and find those moments and then pick the colors and then show them to the producer and then have to fix them and then have to go back and go through the script and fix all the parts that had to be fixed or whatever. I know that those things take time. So when I'm asking someone to do something and they're frustrated, I have to think, what have I asked them to do? And I have to be understanding, because I feel like that sort of pressure is, I think, comes from an old way of thinking and an old way of managing. And I don't think asking the impossible of people is nice. and whether or not it's nice, like it gets the job done. But I also, it's important that you keep people, and you can keep people by treating them nicely. Like, if I were to just make sure everyone was doing their jobs happily, like that doesn't even necessarily keep people. It's making sure that they feel valued. And so that's why I'm constantly like, whether you're doing your job or not, like I want to know why. What makes you so good, or why are you struggling? And if, there are people who haven't met deadlines, like what's going on and why? And then I find out they just got out of the hospital, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, no, but I'll have it to you tonight. And I'm like, damn, this person is a trooper. And so my energy flows into my work. And so when I connect with another person, I feel like I connect with their energy, and I have to understand them. Like my only way for understanding people is trying to learn. I have to become emotionally intelligent about them. And so in all my relationships and every person that I know I can go to people for certain things because I become emotionally intelligent about who they are and how they'll react to certain situations. And so I try and test the waters a little bit sometimes, where I'll text something that maybe I wouldn't have texted them before, or I'll say something that I wouldn't have said before, and I'll see how they react. And if they don't react well, then that's just not something I talk about that with that person. But, sometimes I react really well, and I'm like, okay, you're a great source for this type of thing. And so like, I know I can go to you for specific things, and you'll always come back with good feedback and good thoughts and good advice and things like that. So, that's kind of how I learned to be that way, but that just comes naturally. My name, Abrielle, means mother of all things.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like the coolest. That's the best name ever then.
Yeah. So like I said, I feel like I'm exploding with energy. Like I feel like my energy is everywhere, and I am in everything. And when I am talking to people, I'm experiencing them, and I'm working on being more present. And so I had a problem with it when I was, just getting out of college, and I was like, I have a job, I'm in school, I got this to do, I got this to do. Like, yeah, give me a second, I just have to do this thing, and hold on, give me a second, and okay, I'm with you, but I got to rush and I got to do this thing. And I'm working on compartmentalizing and not necessarily slowing down, but like I'm with you today from this time to this time. And between that window, I'm all with you.
Yeah,
Like there's
fully
nothing
here.
else. Yeah. And like, I know I have other things to do. And I know before I was with you, I was doing something else, but all of the things surrounding that and everything in my day is just compartmentalized. Like I'm here.
So the importance of fighting, things like distraction, it comes up. So when, because this is something that I used to struggle with too, is, like I would identify someone with ADHD. And so it's like, as I'm talking with someone, I'm just like, pay attention, keep listening. Okay, what'd they just say? Think about that. No, don't think about that other thing. Like you're just coaching yourself through this being present. But for me, it's something that I've learned, certainly with meditation and practice and the podcast and just all these different things that I've done. Now I'm good at being present. I'm good at being here and tentative, and I'm not thinking of all these other things. It almost becomes a skill of, yes, I know that I have these other things going on, but I'm here, so I'm going to turn those off. Because thinking about those while I'm trying to do this is not helpful, actually. I can't fully be here. And I think that being present with someone, there's something about, even through video, even through text, even through phone calls, there's something that we can intuitively feel. Like, okay, this person is here listening to me. This person is sharing this space with me. They're really listening to that part within myself that I want to be listened to.
It's connection. It's that human connection that we are built off of biologically. I feel like even through a screen, it doesn't matter. Like I lose sight of it being through a screen. I feel like I'm talking to you. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel whatever. And I also feel that on the phone. I don't live with my family. My brother lives in Gainesville. My parents live in West Palm Beach. And I call my parents, and then we phone in my brother, and then I put my phone down and I start making breakfast, and we're all just hanging out in the kitchen together. Like
Cool.
it's I don't see the barrier of technology. I'm happy to have it, but like it facilitates so much. It's obviously detrimental in some ways, which we've talked about. But I love it, and so I don't. It's that human connection that's important, and that's why I watch so many podcasts and things like that. I just want human connection, and I love learning and growing myself and finding new ways to build and spread my energy, and listening to other people talk helps me do that, and hearing other people and talking to other people just satisfies that connection. So
100%, 100%. Do you think that I feel like the ability to do that and just kind of what not just social media, but our ability to connect in different ways. Like this is, I mean, it's still pretty new just as humanity of like what we're able to do. We talk a lot about kind of like the future and, what technology has effects on us and that sort of thing. That's always super fun to get into with you.
yeah.
Do you think that like right now, I mean, there's a lot we're losing out on in the world. I think of kids in school and stuff, and they're adjusting to this whole new thing, and there's a lot of charisma and interaction with other humans that like they're probably getting worse at. Like we're more in our homes, but there is this. I think of I just had Trevor May on last week, and just the fluidity of his kind of conscious thought, because he's a game streamer. Like he's just being himself. He's just with himself. And he's there's young kids, there's older guys who are just laughing along, enjoying his company. It's just this stream of thought. And he's not really self-policing himself. He's not trying to present himself in any way. It's this openness. I don't know. What do you think about the, I guess, the future of us as humans if we continue down this road? Because I feel like when we're more open to each other, when we're more susceptible to looking for what's true in one another and allowing each other the space to just feel out what we're going through and just have kind of this fluid stream of consciousness, this mind sync is what I said a couple days ago.
Yeah. So I think it varies. And so what you mentioned about kids in school, they're definitely going to be different, because I think this stuff is great, but nothing beats being in person, because even in nature, you literally give off pheromones and chemicals, and like you are emitting things. And whether there are some people who want to talk about energy is not real, and I get that. And I'm not a huge energy buff. I don't want to be like, I feel your core near my core. Like I'm not like that. I'm not there. But no offense to anyone that is there, but
My core is offended.
I just like I feel people, and so when you're with someone, you can feel them. If you say something wrong, you can feel tension.
Mm.
It's not necessarily eliminated in these types of formats. Even when you're on the phone, like you can say something wrong and then you hear silence, and they're like, what do you mean? And like you can feel like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. Or you can feel that there's tension. But when you're with someone, even like their entire, the way their entire body moves, like you literally, it's electricity. You just feel it. It's in the air. Like you feel differently. And so I think that if we continue down this path of only being online and things like that, not good for us. It's just, we don't get that electricity. And then in the sense of kids in school, I actually took on a babysitting job, babysitting kids who were doing online school.
Mm.
And so I got to see what they were doing and it was really cool. I got to look at a second grader and a fourth grader. And so what the fourth grader was having to do was kind of more normal school stuff. Like they've already been in school, so they understand like, okay, you have math homework, do your math homework. And then the difference was like, you have to take a picture of your math homework and then send the picture. And so they would teach you how to do those kinds of things. The second grader was learning how to use his computer. And so in order to, like, they would decorate their notebook in class, the teacher gave them a PowerPoint, and it was a blank slide with a blank notebook, a picture of a notebook on it. And then the other slides had stickers that you would copy and paste to put on the blank notebook. And it taught them to use copy and paste in PowerPoint and move things around and scale and flip and insert an image and search to find an image. And it was just a very interesting way to teach a kid how to use a computer. And he thought he was just designing a notebook.
Right.
And so I think like those things are very cool. But also, you know, like he's in this meeting with all of his classmates and he's got his headphones on and he's just like sitting there like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, the teacher's talking. I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to be paying attention. He's like, oh, she can't see me.
Oh.
So it just, you know, it's, you know, you'd be in class and you start to put your head down and your teacher's like, no.
Yeah. I would always be pulling out my tech decks and fingerboarding, and they'd always try to take those away. It's funny because as I get older, if I'm genuinely interested in the subject and it's something that I've committed to listening and wanting to learn, this is just in line with kind of learning how you learn, I suppose. And we're all kind of adjusting, especially young people right now, adjusting to different ways of learning. Now as an adult, I'll tech deck and I'll put headphones on something I'm interested in, and it would be kind of like my leg twitch. Like I'll be playing with this as I'll pick up a pen and paper and take some notes, but I feel like I'm actually listening because this is a mindless little thing I can be doing, a little leg twitch. But it's kind of like the fidget spinners. I feel like we all have, especially in the age of technology, there's some form of, you know, ADHD, attention span, not problems, but changes. You know, our ability to pay attention to more things is increasing and decreasing in, you know, maybe not so great ways. So we're all adjusting to that.
I like what you said about that people learn how they learn. I definitely think that's a thing that kids need to learn. And I experienced that in watching all this virtual schooling is, you know, the teacher would say, like, you need to study your flashcards. And the kid's like, I hate flashcards. And why do I have to do flashcards? And it's like, it's not that you have to do flashcards. It's that they're teaching you a way to study. You don't have to study that way. It might just be better for you to, if you're a photographic memory, you just look at the page and you're good. Mm-hmm. It might be better for you to write them down on a page and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite in the repetition. It might be better for you to say them out loud, or it might be better for you to have a flashcard and go through it. So I think it's important to learn how you learn, but also the virtual learning and the virtual aspect of all this stuff, like nothing beats, I know that with business meetings and stuff, nothing beats getting together with your team and, you know, like hashing something out in person. The Zoom is great and it's much better than like being on the phone or just doing it through email for sure. But it's just so different in person, you know, like it's just not something that we even, and I don't necessarily know what it is, but you know what? I feel like on a Zoom meeting, when I'm in a Zoom meeting for hours, like I feel like I can't go to the bathroom or I can't eat or take a drink of water or something like that. So if I'm in work meetings for 2 hours, I'm sitting there like focused and it is exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, the inhuman aspect is underrated. Like we can efficiently do more with Zoom calls, with, you know, technology communication there. But there is, I mean, just down, you know, when you think of a handshake, like you make a deal, you say some big corporation shirt and tie type guy, you make a deal and you shake hands, that exchanges the chemical oxytocin back and forth between two humans, which is kind of the feeling of trust within us. I mean, we're missing it in, you know, you mentioned pheromones too. Think about all the things that we're not even totally in tune with, or maybe is, you know, other people have proved, but you and I just don't really understand it fully. There's a lot of aspects of, you know, where we're trying to communicate feeling and meaning by words and in communication in talking, but there's all these underlying factors of us as biological creatures that feel differently when we're in the presence of one another. Our team that we work with for live event production, for example, like I feel like we all vibe really well off each other. You know, we're pretty close crew. We like like when we're doing a live show, when I'm jamming, I'm in the zone, and I look over in the lighting guy or Tyler or whoever is just right there with me. Like there's just this communication. It's kind of like being in a band jamming on stage where you don't exactly have it all 100% rehearsed. There's a couple things that are going to happen on the fly. It's this communication, this jazz riff. I'm going to do this and you do this. We got it. Like it's a head nod. So it's humans are incredible. It's cool that we're adjusting to all this stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to get back to kind of, I won't say normal, but whatever our next stage of modes of being
I think it'll bounce back. I think just based on like what we've gone through in history and where we ended up just a few years ago and now where we are now, like I think it's in cycles and I think we'll be fine. I think everything is going to be fine. But
Yeah.
I like what you were saying about our team and that we vibe. What I like about that is we're able to communicate without actually speaking and we just get each other and everyone's kind of on the same page, especially during a show. And so if someone, flubs something, we like look over at each other and we know we did it and we're like, you did that. But, it's all good and we all laugh it off and we do the show, or someone's supposed to do something and they don't. So someone makes up for it and the show keeps going and like everyone gets it.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So I want to, just because it keeps popping into my mind, I want to just skip back a little bit to motivational speakers. Who's your juice? Like who's your bread and butter? Because, if you're going to be the talent coordinator, do you have anybody that stands out or do you just like motivational speakers? Is there somebody you listen to often or?
Yeah, I don't have anyone that stands out, and I wouldn't say I listen to motivational speakers often. I listen to Joe Rogan, but I don't know if I would count him as a motivational speaker.
I feel like he kind of counts. Sometimes he gets on these rants, and I'm like, "Speak it, my brother." Yes.
There are definitely, but also in my research for the company that I have, I just I've started following more motivational accounts, and I've started, like I don't want to work with someone that I don't believe in. What I count as a huge blessing is that I have a job, I have an income stream, and I'm not worried about it. So when I'm starting this company, I can make it exactly what I want. I don't have to, I'm not scrounging for clients, I'm not scrounging for money, so I can go after the people I really believe in. And so I'll watch a motivational speaker and I'm like, this person really isn't interesting to me. So I don't reach out to them. But if I am inspired by someone, I'm like, I really love your message and I want more people to hear it. And I want to give you a medium and help you I want to facilitate you reaching people. So I don't have anyone specifically, but I enjoy reading quotes. I enjoy little motivational clips. I enjoy anything and I enjoy these types of conversations. I would count a ton of my friends as motivational speakers, just because they don't have that title doesn't mean that when I talk to them, I'm not motivated. You know what I mean? So there are tons of situations where I'm feeling down on myself. I reached out to you recently where I was feeling down on myself. And also that problem wasn't, it wasn't like this specific thing was wrong and that's what I needed to fix. It was kind of an overarching thing that I needed to address in multiple avenues. And so I went to you for one aspect of it. I went to a personal trainer I worked with for another aspect of it. I went to my family for another aspect of it. I went to my boyfriend for another aspect. And through all of those different roads, I was able to reach the solution and feel better. And I'm able to mirror, like talking about things is so helpful. And I talk to myself a lot and I figure things out, but I don't necessarily have other people's experiences. And that's what I'm seeking is how people have navigated themselves.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I mean, just the ability to say, man, I got this thing I'm going through and I sure as heck don't have all the answers for it. So like, let's see what my wonderful friends have to say about it. I love that. I feel like I have my own versions of doing that. In the description for the podcast is mining the hearts of one another. And I think that's been a huge thing for me, is there wasn't a lot in my life that I was taught. Like like it's all just kind of like figured out on your own. And so I'm observing everybody I'm with, like my friends, the parents of my friends. I'm like, how would they react to this situation? what's, even if it's not just going directly to them for advice, I feel like when you can kind of learn by observation and learn by different people's perspectives, and then you could take it in. You don't have to listen to it right away. You don't have to say like, yes, that's true, but you can say like, what do I think about that? And like, how does their perspective change mine in this moment, and explore that a little bit more. I think that's a very helpful mindset to have, that you're able to just take in these different ways of observing the same problem.
It's also different in different cultures, and I think that's important to think about too, like as much as I've traveled a little bit. I've been to, a few other countries, but it's not like I've traveled the world. But in learning about other cultures and in the traveling that I have done and in meeting new people, like people are the way they are because of the way they've been raised and, nature and nurture, but also just because of the culture that they're rooted into. And so there are some people that it's taken me forever to understand who they are. And as I learn about the culture that they've come from, then I begin to understand who they are.
Mm.
So there's also, some cultures value different things differently. And so there are some problems that white Americans have that in other countries just don't exist. Like they don't think about it as hard, or it's not a problem that comes up because someone else is dealing with it, or, like if there's any type of, if you think about loneliness, if you are feeling lonely and you haven't been around a lot of people and all that kind of stuff, and then you look at Spanish families who just constantly have like all of their meals are together. They have big meals at all of their holidays. Everyone gets together. Spanish families are huge. Everyone loves each other. It's a huge, big family. It's hard to feel lonely in a Spanish family. I won't speak for anyone that's Spanish and, like is lonely. I'm sure that's a thing that comes up, but it's just something to think about that I'm always taking into consideration when I feel one certain way, like why am I feeling this way? Who else could be feeling this way? Where does it come from? How is it related to the culture that I'm in? How is it related? Is it related to any societal pressures that I'm feeling? Why am I feeling those societal pressures? Like the thing that I was coming to you recently was I was just not feeling good about myself or about my gym performance and just my work performance. Like I was just overall not feeling like I was my best or I was doing my best, or not even that I wasn't doing my best. I just felt like what I was doing wasn't good. And I had to sit. Go ahead.
Well, what were the conclusions that you came to with that?
Well, I had to sit back and say, good compared to what? And I had to realize that I was comparing myself even to things I know I shouldn't compare myself to. And one of the things I've done on social media recently to, like help my device usage is I've turned off all my notifications and I've stopped following like super pretty people, or I've muted accounts, or I don't follow them anymore, like traveling accounts and just models and fitness people I don't know, that I just look at their profiles or their pictures because they're nice to look at, like travel photos, like places I've never been to that I, desire to go to. It's really just a waste of time just scrolling through those things. And I'm comparing my life to these girls or women or groups of people or activities or places I want to go. And like, why can't I go these places? Why haven't I been there? Why doesn't my body look like that? Why am I not, that successful? Why am I not doing this? It's just useless. Yeah. I'm the best I can be in where I am right now. And I have plans to be more, and I'm on the path of being more. And I know my own ambition, and I kick myself in the ass every day. Like I don't feel like I'm actually struggling. I only feel that way when I'm looking at other people. And so that whole issue was, I just found that I was just comparing myself. And why? I should only be comparing myself to myself, who I was yesterday, or who I was when I wasn't doing as well. And who I was when I wasn't doing as well was not as good as who I am today. Yeah. So I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love all that. I really like your perspective on that. When was your first time, when you first got social media? How old were you, and like what was your experience with it? Because I'm always trying to devise kind of, how has social media changed us? And for me, I graduated high school 2010, and iPhone came out 2008 or 2007. I say this a lot. I should remember that. But I I just really always observe, like, man, I wonder who I would be if we never had social media. If I was never really super into social media, who would I be? How would I compare myself to other people differently? So as it's something that we're learning to, as we become older adults, we kind of learn these wise ways of dealing with it. You're like, oh, looking at these, it's cool that I get to see these fit people. It's cool that I get to see these beautiful places, but that's just kind of a nice picture. It does actually give me this feeling of, man, I wish I was doing that. So you being able to recognize the, intuitively feel the feelings and emotions that these things on our feed stir within us, then you're able to kind of flip the switch and be like, I'm going to make this my, my daily motivational board, right? So,
Yeah.
the beginning of social media for you and kind of like how you've adapted to it now to make it to your benefit.
So I think I definitely started social media on MySpace, and I think that was like eighth grade, I want to say. I got a cell phone when I was 13, maybe 12. I know my parents said I was going to have to wait until I was 13, but they may have given it to me when I was 12, which I don't agree with.
That's probably pretty early for back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. There's 6-year-olds getting phones now, so.
Well, I know now, but it's so weird. I mean, that's just the new normal, though, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, so I first had AIM. I don't know if that counts as social media, but I was on that. I went from AIM to RuneScape, which it's not really social media either, but I was on there talking, to MySpace. And then MySpace had its own, like, you could put where your top 8 friends or whatever. And then there was like the bulletin board where you could do those fun surveys and enter your own stuff and then forward them to other people, and everyone else would do your bulletin board surveys. And then there were a few email surveys that I feel like also happened that were similar to that MySpace thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I went to Facebook, and I had Facebook until the end of high school, and I deleted my Facebook after high school. I had Twitter. I had Tumblr. But Tumblr was I didn't share who I was until like my later years of Tumblr. And then I was just posting, like, it was just kind of my outlet, but also I posted like pretty pictures or whatever. Go ahead.
Well, it's just interesting. I'm wondering if you notice, looking back now, like, are these different facets of yourself? Like, are these different kind of sides of your personality that are amplified when they're on certain platforms?
I don't know, but I know that it's easy to be someone else when there isn't a face attached to it, a face or a name. So I know that specifically for Tumblr, I always had my profile photo was like a silhouette of me. And then I just posted whatever pictures. I never really posted any blogs or anything personal. And so I just kind of had a nice account with a decent amount of followers because I was just reposting other people's pretty pictures.
Tumblr's got that mysterious vibe to it.
Yeah. But then once I got Instagram, I was against having Instagram. And then I got Instagram in high school. And I was like, I just don't want to post my stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense that you would do that. And here I am posting all my stuff. But
now you do modeling on Instagram.
Yeah. And so what I've realized, the difference in social media now versus what it was when I was younger, is that you would log on and like see all of your friends that you know and see what they're doing and see what they're up to. And this person checked in here, or you would check the MySpace bulletin board and see what they answered to all those, like, what's your favorite color and all that kind of stuff. Like, you would learn about your circle, and then you could design your whole MySpace page and it would be who you are. And you would go on other people's pages and be like, oh, I want my cursor to look like that, and learn how to code that cursor and stuff like that. So that was a cool pastime where you were actually learning about the people that you know. And now I feel like the pastime that we have is mindlessly scrolling through pretty pictures that entertain our brain, that aren't really teaching us. And even if they are teaching us, like, even if they are a bulletin board of positive thoughts, like, what are they actually doing? I'm actually getting a little bit sick of the positivity. Like, I feel like there was a lot of negativity. And so, like, if you just one really small portion of it, like fat shaming, people who are overweight feel bad about themselves, and there was a lot of negativity towards them and all that kind of stuff. And so then there's been this swing to the opposite side where you love your body, love your shape. All of the stores are coming out with like all the shapes and sizes of clothing, and like it's really great. But there's just so much like love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, be who you want to be, do this, you can do whatever you want, you can do whatever. I feel like there's so much self-help that it's just sickening. Like it's almost so toxic. Like, you're allowed to hate yourself sometimes. Like, you shouldn't make a mistake and just love yourself. Like, you need to learn from it and feel bad about it, and you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have whatever, you know? And so I feel like there's so much be successful, be this, be that. And that's what Instagram is everything is happy and everything is that brand of being wonderful. And it's so much. Like, I feel like everyone is just trying to be so happy. And I even see it in people that I know, and I know the struggles that they go through. And then I look at their Instagram and it's like amazing. Everything is great. And I'm just like, what? Like it's such a great case study, I guess, to look at that, because like I know what you're going through is hard, and you're just posting that everything's great and it's easy. Like, that is such a specific example that is just like everything on Instagram. Like, there are women who post and whatever, and their body looks great, but if you really like, if you're a girl and you know how to post, like, you know that they're standing a certain way in a certain lighting, they've added a certain filter, they've edited it a certain way. Like, you know that that photo was the best of 160 photos that they took, and that one just happened to like contour their butt properly, and they just look they look like they have a big butt and a skinny stomach, but like when they moved one angle difference, like it showed the pancakes that they ate that morning. Like, it's just not. And so I feel like that is what I have tried to eliminate in all of my watching The Social Dilemma and learning about. I've started following Tristan Harris's movement of the humane technology, whatever the movement is. I've signed up for it and get all the suggestions about how to use your device less and how to use it more consciously and things like that. So I've turned my notifications off. I told you I followed those pretty people that just make me mindlessly scroll. I've just recently put my phone on grayscale mode so it's not pretty to look at, and I'm not distracted by all the nice colors that are rewarding to my brain.
Have you noticed a difference from that yet?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like this thing where you're not pulled in by all these fantastic colors?
It is. I notice myself, I still do go on Instagram, but also on Instagram, I have a timer. So on my personal account, I have 15 minutes a day. And on my other account, I have 30 minutes a day. And when they go off, I'm done. Okay. And so, yeah, I spend 45 minutes a day at most on Instagram. And sometimes on my personal account, I don't even get the notification until like nighttime that I've spent my 15 minutes for the day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't use them. And the thing with the grayscale is that I've designed my background to be really nice, and it's really colorful, and it's all these pictures from my trip to Mexico, and it's beautiful. And when it's on grayscale, like, it doesn't hit the same way, you know? And so when I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, what pretty pictures. I want to look at more pretty pictures. And so I open my phone and start scrolling through Instagram or start scrolling through my camera roll. And they're just, black and white photos are really cool and dramatic, but they're just not as cool as what I know they are. And so I've set up shortcuts on my phone to change it from grayscale to color, so that if anyone's like, do you like this shirt, or I need this color or whatever, like I can quickly change it. But I've kept it on grayscale for most of the day. And if I do end up changing it because I need to see something and I leave it just out of habit, I notice that I'm more taken into it. I'm on it more. I'm get back into that habit of just getting on Instagram and scrolling through it. And I'm like, no, this is what we don't want to do. Right. Back on grayscale and get off.
Yeah, I think that setting limits and kind of exploring what works for all of us as individuals when it comes to social media and our social media use is it's right now it's huge, but I think it's going to be something that we're going to look back and be like, oh, a lot of humans had to kind of like relearn the act of social media. So for me, I remember I had quit social media. I mean, probably 2 years ago or so. I quit for almost a year. I got off of it, and I was just really on my self development kick. I was just really like trying to find myself. I went through. I started learning like this is what I would consider. I kind of had like a spiritual awakening. I know it's kind of an intense phrase, but just learning all these things about myself and learning why am I doing this and what's my behavior trying to get from here and what validation am I seeking from this and I remember we went to this breakfast place in Portland and I had been off social media for a while and it was just so great to hang out with friends. I was in a great mood and there was this I got a coffee and it was this very like hipster bottle. It's Portland, like right downtown or right on Hawthorne. And I was just transfixed by this bottle, basically. This thing that I got my coffee in, it was just like this little stout, cool shape, cool color, cool design. And I remember being like, I was noticing how much I loved this thing. And I was like, man, this is like, it's just a bottle, man. It's not that big of a deal. But I was in the moment, I was like, this is awesome. I really am enjoying this bottle. What a great design. I was going on about it. It was like I took a Molly right before I walked in there or something. But what it was, we're so used to not only being sold to, but just having things be so perfect all the time. As you're scrolling through, it's like, wow, there's a beautiful waterfall, but you can make it look even more vibrant and beautiful by adding all these filters and effects. So does that dull the senses when we do see an actual waterfall and it's kind of an overcast day? Is it not as pretty to us? Does it not strike us as much? So just noticing without even trying, by removing social media and removing a lot of this like want for perfection and better and more and all this stuff, it makes us value our everyday interactions a little bit more. Like I'm pumped that I was able to see this little glass bottle of coffee and just be transfixed by it. Honestly, I thought that was a cool thing.
But I think that also comes from you being a creative and you knowing that with anything that is made, there's a whole process behind it. And who designed that bottle? Why is it that shape? Why is it glass? Why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? Why is it this color? Why is it served at that place? What does it mean to that person? Like, why did they choose this? Maybe that didn't go into it. Maybe they were like, I like that bottle. That's what I'm going to use. But as a person, and also humans just appreciate art. And so when you see something that's nice and beautiful and it evokes emotion, that's just like a biological thing that I think that we have. So I think that's why Instagram gets our attention, because there's just all this art to appreciate, but all this stuff is just pretty for our brains to look at, and it's not actually doing anything for us.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Well, okay. So I was thinking, the dopamine shortcut of laying in bed and you get to experience beauty. Like normally, like before technology, before phones, and even before, let's say, cameras and photos, you're laying in your bed and you're just in your environment. So I feel like in order to see beauty, you have to seek beauty. I feel like before, and so it would motivate you to leave your house, to go on a hike, to go find these other things that other artists are creating, and really look for them so you can have that experience. But now we have these shortcut like, oh, I'm kind of feeling down and I'm kind of feeling blah, and so I'm gonna go experience some beauty. And you click on your phone, and then your chemicals are just going off in your head. So it's interesting to see there's so many benefits to social media in our intertwining as humans with technology, but I really do enjoy looking at hey, how is this not helpful to me? How is this demotivating to me?
Yeah, I think that, and so that's the whole thing where the humane technology movement has asked everyone to delete their social media. And I'm not that far, because I think social media is great for a lot of reasons. There are just a few detrimental habits that we get from it that I think should be eliminated if you're conscious of them. And so that mindless scrolling is something that they obviously want us to do, and that's not something we need to do. That was never something humans did before. That's never something I did before, just mindlessly scrolling through my phone. Like, no one's ever done that. You never, like, I grew up watching, like little Einsteins and informational videos and all those kinds of things. So like whenever I was consuming digital information, it was teaching me something. I've never done this weird passive thing where I'm just scrolling and like I'll be working and my brain is bored of the work I'm doing. So I'm scrolling and working. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's a weird thing to do and it's not productive. And like, think about how much time you're taking away from other things. And I find myself, when I'll get an Instagram notification while I'm walking to my car, and then I'm looking at my phone while walking through a parking lot. Like, that's not safe. You're supposed to be aware of your surroundings, especially as a woman. Like, I'm supposed to be aware of everything that's happening around me, like not looking at my phone because I got an Instagram notification that I can look at literally any other time. And then when you get a notification, you get sucked into whatever is happening. And I will tell you that the getting sucked in thing doesn't happen as often with the grayscale. That's not something. Yeah, like I'll get a message, I'll go to check the message, and I'm like, it's not interesting being on here, so I'm off. So
well, I think even bringing those, just bringing it to the forefront of your attention and just having that awareness of, I think we all have our little habits of we pull out our phone or we get a text, we get a notification, we respond to it, and then we got a few more minutes till we got 50 more feet till we're at our car, so let's click on the Instagram icon really quick and scroll so we can fill this gap of time. Yeah. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm always trying to explore within myself, my addictive tendencies when it comes to social media, and like, what is this validating within me? Is this helpful? Am I okay? And then there's also a part with me where I try to forgive myself and I try to say like, hey, it's okay to enjoy this thing that you have right now. It's okay. Like, give yourself the time. Give yourself 5 more minutes to do this, and then put that line sinker in it. Something I wanted to switch over to, Abrielle, is something you were saying as you're walking, just as a woman to, be aware of your surroundings. Like, it's something that you would have to think of more often than I. Like, I can be kind of, head in the clouds and not be in the same headspace as you would be, trying to look out for yourself. And I bring that up because I know that you've taken women's self-defense classes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it has been women's self-defense, but I also take Krav Maga, and the Krav Maga turns into women's self-defense class.
And that's mixed martial arts, technically?
It's what they train the Israeli Defense Forces in. It's I think it translates to like brutal street combat or something like that.
Tight.
I don't know that it translates to that. That's not the right word, but that's like what it's considered. It's just kind of like the goal of Krav Maga is to neutralize the threat. So we learn, and I especially love the women's self-defense classes because we learn anything from, if someone comes and grabs your shirt, like how do you get out of that and, help yourself out of that situation. My favorite recently, the instructor learned like a new technique. If someone grabs your hair, how to, maneuver out of that. If one of the women who was in there, a lot of women would find themselves like on their back under another person. And how do you defend when another person is on top of you and you're on the ground? Things like that. And it also just, Krav Maga teaches more confidence in that you can do something. Like, there are a lot of women who just, when anything would happen, they may not think to do anything. And Krav Maga just teaches you that there are options and there is a way to like stop, analyze, choose what you're going to do and move forward within a split second. And I don't know how I would react in a real situation, but I know that there are options. And I know that I've been told since I've started doing Krav, when I'm in situations with people I don't know, I'm like in a fighting stance. I'm like ready to go, because that's just like, I'm more aware of myself, and people are less likely to pick on you if you look stronger, or if you look like you know what you're doing, or you look like you're going somewhere. Like, if you're just walking slowly somewhere, someone can pick on you more than if you're walking with purpose. So there are just things that we learn like that. But also, like, doing any martial art, I feel like, would teach your body that it can do something. The more often you punch, the stronger your wrists get. I've learned that my wrists are stronger now because you're punching and your wrist can't like bend or whatever, so it just has to be strong. So there are those things that I learned that I know I could hit someone with what is this, the butt of your palm. I know I could hit
that's
someone.
the butt.
Yeah, what is that called? I don't know, whatever.
Heel palm. Yeah, I feel like I've heard it called the butt of your palm. That's the
The heel
scientific term.
and
The
something like
butt.
that. But I know that you can like hit them in the bridge of their nose and it hurts.
Mm.
I've also, people we've worked with, I've taught them that you can take someone's nose and go like that and bring their head back.
It seems unpleasant.
Yeah, it's very unpleasant. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
But there are just little small things you can do to the body, and they teach you those things, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be able to do that. So
Yeah, that reminds me just the level of preparation that brings you for. Like it's not that you're always guarded, like you're always just waiting for like any interaction. So you're just like, are you about to punch me? Because I'll punch you first, sort of thing. But it just is this preparation. What popped into my mind was Kevin Hart talking about, he had gotten a car wreck a while back ago. The comedian Kevin Hart, actor Kevin Hart, and he talked about how him being in shape before the car wreck happened was his preparation for the car wreck. Like, so if he hadn't worked out before, if he wasn't an avid, like, in shape, fit person, then that car wreck would have been a lot worse. Like his body wouldn't have handled it as much. Like his, I don't remember exactly the extent of his injuries, but him being fit before actually kind of saved him in these injuries. And so that's just what pops into mind for that. It's kind of just this, like, it keeps you in optimal shape mentally, like just knowing, hey, if something does happen right now, I can handle it. My body is trained for it. I don't even have to think. My body knows the reactive things because I train them and I go to class.
Yeah, something that I encountered recently. I also teach acrobatics, and so I lift weights and I go to the gym a lot, and I'm doing Krav Maga, and the gym supplements Krav Maga. I have been squatting higher weight recently. And then in acrobatics, I just started teaching the girls back handsprings. And so I'm having to catch these 100-pound girls and flip them over. And I'm thinking, thank God I can squat higher than your weight. And I have built my arms a little bit so that I can hold you and I can pick these girls up, no problem, and flip them over. Like I think, working out supplements everything. It's just, people with back pain don't work out. And if you have back pain, working out normally helps back pain. There's just, I used to get a lot of knots in my back, and it was from my back being out of shape, so there's.
Yeah, dude, I think I'm always, preaching to the choir likely and just yelling at nobody from a hill, but I'm always just trying to convince people to work out and move and stretch, because to me, I think that our society has this thing where working out is to burn calories if you're fat. It's like, no. It has all these, there's millions of other benefits. It makes you feel better. It increases your ability, it strengthens your immune system. It strengthens your respiratory system. Like there's all these things that, if you look at your body as, holistically affecting your everyday life, which it does 100%. It's not just, oh, I'm getting kind of chubby, or, oh, I've got a vacation in 4 months, so I'm going to start working out, or, oh, I ate a piece of cake and so I'm over my calorie count, so that's why I'm going to work out. For me, it's just like there's so much preparation. It helps your mental health to work out, to just move, get your cerebral spine fluid moving around daily. It helps with, I have a lot of inflammation. I get neural inflammation, which is a lot of my effects of when it comes to depression. And just breathing, doing yoga, stretching it out, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, that helps me like remove some of that inflammation. So yeah, I think like just all the different facets of our life that are positively effective by being active, some form of activity. And I know right now, just to kind of put a stick in this part, any listener right now, COVID times are weird. Our gyms are canceled right now. I don't know how it is over with you, Abrielle, but they just shut our shit down again.
Florida's open.
Oh
Florida.
yeah, you guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I have to wear my mask to walk into the gym and get my temperature taken, but then mask off, we're good to
Yeah.
go. There's supposed to be social distancing. There's not.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's so hard to compare like what's the right thing to do. Like there's so many humans are so complicated. We can't it's not just a yes or a no, a good or a bad thing. But I don't know. Either way, I think that anybody, especially in these times, get active, like get out of your house. A lot of us are on our computers more. A lot of us, like you said, so many people complain about back pain or complain about knee pain or ankle pain or hips hurt or my neck hurts or all these things.
Tired all the time.
Tired all the time for sure. And there's something about it's like our ego protects us because our ego is like, well, I want to justify why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so you suggest, I have many people in my life where there'll be those complaints said to me, and I'm like, well, are you stretching? Are you doing this? And like, oh, well, I got this injury and I can't. And no, I don't do that or whatever. That like, but we've got to take control and take responsibility for our physical health, I think.
My favorite is like when you ask someone if they drink water and they're like, "Oh, I don't need that much water." That's one of
What
my
is that? What
yeah,
like
one of my favorite
how
things.
do you know, man? Like how do you like you know everything about the interior of your body? Like as your body's processing the water, you think you consciously do that or something? Like
But
your
also,
thoughts are
you
sending you
can be
water?
dehydrated at different parts of the day. You can drink a lot of water in the morning and be like, "Yeah, I drank 2 glasses of water this morning," and you can feel great and be hydrated for 3 to 4 hours. But like if you don't drink any water for the rest of the day, you're going to be dehydrated by the end of the night. And I think I heard some statistic 75% of Americans are dehydrated. Think about how tired that makes you. Think about how hungry that makes you. And then that makes you eat more. And then you're overweight. And then you don't work out because you're overweight. And you're tired because you're overweight because you were tired from not drinking water. It just, I don't work as well. I get headaches. How many people have headaches from drinking water and they don't know
And
it?
they would rather take an ibuprofen or an Aleve before drinking a glass of water.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to me. But I think going back to working out helps me just because I have so much energy. I'm just a different person. Like I'm not necessarily crazy, but I'm just like a little bit more irritable. I'm a little bit more like let's go do this thing. I'm a little there. Like when I go to the gym and I push myself and I get that sweat in and I've challenged myself for the day, I'm good. I'm just chill to be around. Some would argue I'm not, I guess, but
No, I'm totally with you. I like getting that. It really helps the mental. Like you can wake up and you got brain fog and you kind of got scattered thoughts, but you go in, you exert yourself and you pay attention and you do your job, you do your workout. And then at the end, it's just like, all right, now I'm calm, I'm ready, I'm more precise than I was before. I think so many people would benefit from just physical activity. It helps us all a lot.
and I was telling you too when I was going through that whole thing, like there are a lot of things that could have made me feel depressed and anxious and given me all of those feelings because when I start working a lot, I eat less, I sleep less, and those kinds of things. Having low blood sugar and not eating enough can definitely make you feel tired, make you feel depressed, and increase anxiety. Not sleeping makes you tired, makes you depressed, can increase anxiety. Feeling anxiety and having experience with anxiety and then feeling anxiety again from something I don't really associate with, like not knowing where my anxiety is coming from, or maybe feeling overwhelmed and associating my anxiety with my feeling of overwhelm. It's not, it just kind of contributes to more anxiety. Like, why am I feeling anxious? Why am I this? Why am I that? And then I just spiral into anxiety and depression when like maybe I just needed to eat a hamburger. Like who knows? Like eat a hamburger and drink a glass of water. Maybe that's what it was. When I was growing up, I was very thin and I would always have a lot of headaches and I didn't eat very much because I just wasn't hungry. But what I realized, and it came from talking to my aunt about what her daughter does, what my cousin does is she doesn't eat big meals, but she would eat every 2 hours. So I started doing that and I had less headaches. I was less upset. I was less crazy. I was less this, I was less that. And it all was diet related. So I can't imagine how many people have problems and feel these certain ways and they just have poor nutrition. Poor nutrition, poor workout schedule, poor, like not drinking enough water,
Mm.
just not doing themselves right. And I can't imagine
Yeah.
the difference it would make for people.
Yeah, for real. I always encourage people to really find what works for you, get in tune with how do I feel? Do I feel okay? And like, how have I felt the last couple of days and why is it? And what time did I eat breakfast and all this? For me, the act of fasting is what seems to be the absolute best for me. There's been stages in my life where eating every couple hours definitely has been the best for me. But
Yeah.
then that stops working, or that allows me to be too lenient on going to vending machines or, eating crappy food more often. So what I found that works for me over the last like year and a half or so is fasting, intermittent fasting. So I basically have like a feeding window. I'm eating during these 4 hours, or I'm just eating this one big meal and then I'm done. But yeah, I think getting in touch with, you're like, okay, when I eat more often, I have less headaches. Cool. I think getting to that problem solving mindset of there's an answer here is very helpful, rather than just I always have headaches and so I just take an Aleve, and it helps because we like to alleviate our symptoms but not get to the root cause of the problems. It's just kind of how we've been raised in the Western society. I feel like it's like when you have a problem, you you go to the doctors and they find a way to fix it, and if not, there's a pill that'll fix that thing. But a lot of our problems are symptomatic of our lifestyle and of what we're not doing or what we're doing too much.
I think that also comes with, I just bought a supplement recently, and the reason I bought it was because I got sucked into this 20-minute ad for it. And I just started listening to it and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Like, I understand the marketing aspects that I'm being addressed by right now, but I'll just listen to you. Go ahead. And she's just telling me all of these reasons I need to take her supplement and why I feel the way I do. And I'm like, okay, you got me. I'll spend the $50, whatever it is, on your supplement and see if it helps. But the supplement is for bloating, more energy, and it's supposed to decrease bloating, increase energy, and a third thing. And so then I bought the supplement because I was like, no harm in trying. But why do I need that supplement? Like, why, if I'm experiencing bloating, like, what am I eating that's making me bloated? If I don't have enough energy, what am I eating that's making me feel like I don't have enough energy? Or what else could I be doing that could give me more energy? Am I not sleeping enough? Am I not getting all of these things? So, I found that I'm not lactose intolerant, but I don't react well to milk. If I drink milk, I get very bloated. If I eat yogurt, I get very bloated. I used to eat yogurt every single day, and I used to feel bloated every single day. So am I going to take a supplement to decrease bloating, or am I going to eliminate yogurt?
Mm-hmm.
So there's just these things, and I feel like people don't realize them. Like, going to the gym and taking supplements and stuff, like, do you need them? How much do you need them? If you're lifting heavy weights, obviously, like, the normal human body won't be able to do that or support that, and you need to add a little bit extra. But if you're just like a normal person that's just going to do some cardio, like, I don't think you need BCAAs and creatine. And although there are benefits to taking creatine, I take creatine. It's good for women, it's good for men, it's good for a ton of reasons. Like, do we actually need these things? Taking all these vitamins, like, if we just ate the right things, would we get the right amount of vitamins from our food?
Yeah, I mean that's what supplements are. It's like it's supplementing something that should be in your diet. I think our modern food system is just not actually really designed for optimal humans. It's designed for our economy, really. Think of fast food. Like I'm a sucker for fast food, man. I know that it doesn't always serve me well, but it helps when I'm like, okay, I'm like 2 days ago I went to Chick-fil-A because I worked up in Seattle, and I had to go like jet back and get to my other job. and I didn't prep before, and so I got fast food. So it's like it helps fill this need of needing some food in between so I can work more. But we got to look at our lives as work is a facet of my life. Health is also a facet of my life. How I feel allows me to work better. So if I'm eating fast food 6 times a week, then I can't show up mentally and optimally do my job.
And I think with quarantine, we're learning that there are more facets in our life than just work and things like that. Like, I think that's something I've talked to you about, that through quarantine and being locked down, and there was a specific time when no one could go out and no one could work and there was nothing to do. And I just learned who I am and what my schedule is and what I need, the things that I like to eat, like what makes me feel fulfilled during the day. Do I like to read? Am I more into screens? Do I like to journal? What do I like to learn about? How do I spend my time when I'm just by myself being me? And then once work started to kick up, like, how do I incorporate back into my schedule? How much work do I really want to put into my day? And I'm so lucky that I'm a contractor and I'm not an employee, and I'm not in a position to where I'm scrounging for money and things like that. So where I can say from these hours to these hours, I'm working, and the rest of the time, like working out, doing laundry, cooking, learning. Like I dedicate a chunk of my day to work, but that's only a part of my day. I also go to the gym, I go to Krav Maga, I hang out with my boyfriend, I talk to my family, I talk to my friends, I talk to my extended family, I read something, I'm watching a movie, I'm watching a video, like I'm fulfilling myself in other ways that doesn't just come from work. And I think that's something that I've just realized and learned, that work isn't my whole life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so you're doing all these things now, but I feel like even before the pandemic, you have a huge work ethic. You have a huge drive. I mean, does this come from just knowing like, hey, I want to be as most self-actualized as I possibly can? Or do you have somebody like inspiring in your life that maybe when you were younger, like instilled these things in you? Like, where does your hard work ethic come from?
Yeah, I definitely had my dad. My dad worked a lot. I don't know that it necessarily was inspiring, because he just, he was that dad who worked so much and he traveled for work. He sold microscopes, but he sold microscopes like universities and big scientists. So he was doing the big bill ones.
That's a cool job.
Yeah, he's a sick guy. He's cool. But so like he would be the person they call and would know all of the specific things about a microscope. And he would go to conventions and travel to the Netherlands, and he would always be in a different city. And I feel like when I was growing up, there was a lot of him traveling. Like he'd be gone for Valentine's Day, he'd be gone for my mom's birthday. If he's home, he was always in the office. And we've talked about it since he's retired, and I'm older and I know how to analyze things and I'm emotionally intelligent. So when he sees me working, I ask him what it was like to be working when his family was eating dinner. He's working in the car while we're driving somewhere. He's working this time. He's always on the phone. He leaves Thanksgiving to answer the phone. He goes up into his office and I don't see him all day. And then he comes down in a robe because he hasn't gotten dressed at all. And, that's what I see. And that's kind of the way I am too. But that's kind of where I got that from. But I have to know that I am fulfilled too, because work is not my whole life. And when I die, I don't want to say like I did my job, my goal in life is to be the best I want to be a well-rounded person. I want to be the best in everything that I can do. I want to be a great friend. I want to be a great partner. I want to be great at communicating. I want to be great at cooking. I want to be a great manager. I want to be a great employee. I want to be a great athlete. I want to be great at flexibility. Like, I just want to be the best at everything. And I recognize that I can't be the best at everything. Like, I'm not very good at dancing, and a lot of people will attest to that. I'm not very good at dancing. I have no intentions of being a great dancer, but I intend on getting better. Mm-hmm. But I just I want to be a total package. I want to live my life fully. I want my life to be filled with love and light and just the best things I can find.
Yeah.
So I don't. How did we get there? I don't even know how we.
Just kind of where you got that work ethic. I feel like you're on the pursuit of your best self, like knowing that maybe you'll never reach it, but I think knowing that that's your path, is bound to give you the best life you could ask for, right? When
It
when
really
it's
is. It's the pursuit of my best self, and I am a firm believer that there's no New Year's resolutions. There's a new day resolution. There's no like, I'm gonna start this thing, but I'm gonna start January 1st. I got it. Like, start tomorrow. Start today. Start right now. Like, when are you gonna start eating healthy? Go to the grocery store and start for dinner. Like, there's no like why tomorrow. You've like time is a perception. So like why are you going to start at a certain time or at the beginning of a week? That is a fake thing. Like, it's only a concept. Like, why don't you just start right now? Your body feels bad right now. Why don't you start now? You don't like your job now. Why don't you quit now? Like, why are you going to wait until you get some promotion or you make a certain amount of money or you get this, whatever? Obviously there's going to be some reason maybe in someone's life that makes sense, but you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, why are you going to wait until January 1st to change? Like, change tomorrow, change today, change right now. That's a huge part of who I am. So I'm constantly evolving, and I see things posted online that say, I talk to people in my past and they don't recognize who I am because I've evolved to another level. And that's my experience all the time. Anyone I talk to from my childhood, I'm so different. I want different things. I speak differently. I hold myself differently. I feel about myself differently. People used to think I was a certain way. I'm not anymore. I have to correct them. I don't feel that way. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this and that. Like, I am evolving exponentially every day that I wake up. And what I've started doing recently is I've started journaling in the morning. I just reflect back on what I did yesterday and how I felt about it, and then my goals for today and what I'm thankful for. So that really gives me a chance I do it right when I wake up. So 6:45 in the morning, I don't check any of my notifications in the morning. I just get right into my journal. I reflect on everything I did. And actually, one thing that I realized is so many good things happen to me in a day. There are too many for me to put in like a little concise journal. I don't want it to be too long, and I don't want to take too long doing it. I take about 15 minutes to do it, or shorter if I can. But I don't want it to be a long thing that takes my time. Otherwise, I won't do it. So I want it to be concise. And I realized, like, if I'm talking about all the great things that happened the day before, because I do want to focus on the good things, I can mention the bad things, but I want the purpose of the journal to be to teach my brain to think more positively. Not that it thinks negatively, but we all have a tendency to lean towards the negative things, like the one negative thing that happened during the day, we sort of lean towards that rather than focus on, I woke up today, I had groceries in my fridge, I have enough money to buy more if I need to, I had a great breakfast, I had a great workout, I worked on a project that I love because I work in a job that I love. Like, I get to do different things every day. There's variety. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love the conversations I have. Got a nice email. Went to Krov, had a great class, and then I got to see my boyfriend, and he was great. And I talked to my family, and they're all great. Everyone's healthy. Nobody's injured. No one has COVID. Like, everything is super good in my life. I come home to my cats, and my cats are great. I have my own apartment that I can afford. I feel like I live a great life. I'm really happy. Obviously, I want more. Like, I'd rather not live in this apartment my whole life. But like, I want a dog. Like, I have more things that I want to do. I want to make more money. I want to invest. I want more for myself. But I think where I am right now, I'm 25 years old. I think I'm in a pretty good spot. And then just trying to list all of the good things in a day, like, that's what I'm grateful for, is I have so many things to be grateful for. I can't even list them out briefly. Like, it's something that's so interesting. And the journaling has really taught me to focus, and it's helped, like, reflect on myself and my experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because when you journal, you kind of realize, because you're someone who's so aware of your thoughts and aware of what's going on. It's kind of we get into these moods where we can forget about all that other stuff. Like something kind of, big could happen, or something we could just kind of get into this thought loop of like, man, I'm not where I want to be in this aspect of my life, and blah blah. And like before you know it, you're kind of just spiraling, and you're kind of down on yourself. And when you journal and when you show gratitude for what you do enjoy in your life, what is going well in your life, it has this great way of kind of snapping you out of your own bullshit sometimes, I
But
feel.
I also think that doing it more often teaches your brain to do it more often. Like
Yeah,
fake
to
it
look
until
for
you
it.
make it. Yeah. Fake it till you make it. So that's what was wrong with me that few weeks recently ago. I told you I had talked to my personal trainer, and I was feeling like I couldn't work out, or I was bad at working out. And like, what does that even mean? But I was forgetting my gratitude. I am forgetting that I have two legs and I have two arms, and I woke up this morning and I have the financial ability to have a gym membership, and I'm able to, my gym is open. I live in a state where my gym can be open. I can work out. Where we live in a time where there's plenty of gym equipment. I'm not, stuck waiting for someone. My gym is big enough. I live in a place where I have options of going to different gyms. Like, thank God I can work out.
Right.
I'm forgetting that gratitude. I'm feeling bad, like I'm not good at it. I'm not, like, what am I not good at? I'm not good at lifting something up and throwing it down. Like, what does that mean for me? Why am I feeling that way, and compared to what? So I was forgetting my gratitude, and I was comparing myself to other people that aren't me.
Yeah. What is your, if you had to, like the strength that you have, the feelings within you that you're like, okay, I'm proud of these things within myself. I'm glad that I'm able to see, be emotionally aware, be emotionally intelligent. Um, these areas. How would you suggest to someone who maybe they've been on these loops of not being very nice to themselves, not being very grateful for what they do have? We all get kind of caught up in the muck of it sometimes. Like, how would you, what advice would you give to someone who, it's time for them to build some strength. It's time for them to build some perseverance,
I think
how would you inspire people?
it's repetition, and it's recognizing, it's perspective. It's recognition and perspective. You have to have perspective, because you I was listening to something recently, and I think it was Joe Rogan, that it was the worst thing that happens to someone can be the worst thing that happens to them, but it's not bad compared to what happens to someone else. And so, like I say, I'm so grateful to live in my apartment. I'm so grateful to wake up. You have to have that perspective. Like, there are hundreds of thousands of people who die every day or just don't wake up. I've had friends who, get into drinking or drugs, or they are just casually on sleeping pills. They, like, they have to take medicine to go to sleep. They had one night where they went out and drank a lot, and then they took their sleeping pill just like normal, and then they never woke up again. And so I have that perspective. Just when I wake up in the morning, thank goodness the sun is shining through my window. Like, I'm oriented in a way that, however my apartment is, that the sun can come in my apartment, and on the opposite side where it sets on that side, like there are just, when you have the perspective, you're able to recognize all those little blessings. And I hope to God I never lose my gratitude. And so that's why sorry, I have an alarm going off. That's why there's moments where I feel like I'm forgetting my gratitude. And I hope I never do, because it's something that people don't have. And that's also something I'm grateful for, is that I have my gratitude.
Right.
Because there are people who are just grumpy, about living their life. And I hate my job, and I hate this. Thank God you have a job. Can you imagine the amount of people right now who don't have a job? It's so sad. And the amount of people who get caught up in the news and then they're so stressed out and they're so anxious and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening, but it's not actually affecting you. And your life is pretty good and you're healthy. And there's not a lot that's going on that's negative in your life. It's just that one thing that happened to you that took 10 minutes of your day that was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Duncan Trussell has this little rant that he goes off that just, it struck me so hard. Basically, there's probably some motherfucker who's out there in the woods right now with no cell phone, staring at a beautiful waterfall, who has no idea how pissed off he's supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just this reminder that, yes, these things that you've been focusing on, like maybe they have some truth to them. Maybe they are, you know, bits of information, but are they helpful to your life? Are they the only truth? You know, just as much as like all these things that have been going on in the political world, with all this divisiveness, all this, you know, separation, all this argument that we've gotten into over the last, you know, 4 or 5 years, that would still, you don't have to interact with that. Like that could exist for other people, and you could turn your phone off and go look at a waterfall. You know, it's not the only reality. So a lot of times we need to be able to take a little stock of how much time am I investing in, am I investing my attention in the correct things? Do these things that I'm investing my attention in benefit me in the future? Is this helpful to, you know, the person that I want to be, the person that I strive to be, the person that I hope to, you know, someday accomplish or lean towards?
There's a difference between, I feel like a lot of people don't want to dwell on their thoughts and dwell on things like that, but there's a difference between, you know, functional analysis and dwelling. And that was something that I had to figure out, because I was talking recently about, you know, like maybe I do think a lot about stuff, but maybe I'm overthinking and overanalyzing, you know, like the way that I think about something, and I think about the way I think about something, and then I think about the way I think about thinking about something. It's just like,
too real.
Maybe I don't need to do that. But so you have to just be aware of like what you're saying. Why did that happen? Why am I thinking about it? Do I need to think about it, or is it useless to think about? I know something that I've had to teach myself in the last few years is that that feeling of when you've either upset someone or you haven't upset someone, or you said something to someone maybe, and you think they're upset with you. And you just sit there thinking like, did I say the wrong thing? Did I do this? Did I do that? Are they feeling bad? Like, oh my God, what are they crying? Are they mad? Like, I'm crying because I think they're mad, or I think that they reacted this way. I think they feel this way. None of that actually exists. And I had to teach myself that when I'm sitting on the other side of my phone, my device, you know, like, how was that message received? Are they mad? Do they feel this? None of that exists until someone says they're mad, or until someone acts like they're mad. Like normally they would be talking to you, sending you smiley faces or saying good morning or whatever. Or like in the case of my brother, like normally we text a bunch. If he's not communicating with me at all, if someone's not communicating with you at all, or if they specifically say what you said was messed up and I'm mad at you, there is no reason to have stress or anxiety about a situation that you don't know the outcome of, or you don't know the status of. You have to ask.
Yeah, and that's super powerful, actually.
I get in the mindset, or I get in the habit a lot of asking a lot of questions, and it's a little bit, you know, like I ask a lot of questions about like where a person is. And I know my boyfriend specifically says, like, don't ask me, like, I'm good. Like, unless I have a problem, like, I'm good. And so I figured out that, and I've talked to a lot of other girls who their guys are just like, don't ask me, I'm good.
Word, yeah.
Yeah, like guys are just like, we're good unless we say we're not good. Like, I don't know. And girls were like, how are you feeling? How did you feel 5 seconds ago? How were you this morning? Did you change?
Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that. I'm definitely more in touch with my feminine side. I was raised by a lot of women on my younger ages, so I'm definitely like that. I've kind of had to learn those own lessons myself too. Look at this guy; he's just so cute.
So cute.
Wow. So I feel like that leads right into, we did mention the word projection before. I feel like that's kind of what that is. A lot of times we project our own insecurities on what we believe other people to be thinking about us.
It absolutely is. And that's another thing I realize is a lot of almost like 80% of my interaction with people is projection of how I'm feeling. So, something will happen in a situation and I'm like, ooh, should I have said that? Now I feel bad. Now I feel
Mm,
stressed. Now I feel anxious. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel stressed? Why are you upset? Now you're acting weird. Why are you upset? And it's like they weren't acting weird. It's all me. It's
yeah.
all me being projecting onto them. Or why aren't you so happy? Why aren't you? And they're like, you're bombarding me with questions about why I'm upset.
Right, right. When they weren't even thinking about any of those things. They're probably just dealing with their own intricate things and trying not to project their own shit.
That's
We're
what
all,
I told my brother when he went to college. He didn't want to go to the grocery store because he was afraid of like what people were going to see him buying. And I'm like, oh, dude, people are thinking so much about their own problems. They have no idea what's in your shopping cart. They don't care. They
no.
don't care whether you bought that brand of cheese or that brand of cheese. Like everyone's so into themselves. Like who's going to pay attention to you?
Isn't that the realest shit though? Like, I've got compassion for your brother because like I'll catch myself doing same things like that. I'm like, well, I try to put out this very healthy, food conscious person on the internet, and so if someone sees me buy a bag of Doritos, I'm gonna feel guilty and have to explain to myself or whatever. Like it's this weird thing we do to ourselves when it's nobody would ever give a damn what's in my grocery cart. It's just me. Everybody is so busy worrying about themselves, they're not worrying about you.
It's so true. But the projection it's in every situation, but I feel it now that I'm more aware of it. It's just something that you have to be aware of, but you can't be aware that you're projecting onto people if you aren't aware of your own emotions.
Mm.
And I am so aware of myself. Like, I know that this situation happened, I'm reacting poorly to it. Is this person actually upset with me or am I projecting my feeling onto them? So, what I had to learn first was to stop thinking about maybe they're upset with me, maybe they're not. Because that is just, I would spend hours and nights and days thinking about how I thought the other person felt. I think you feel this way. Not that you actually feel that way. I think that you think that way. Or I think that you're thinking these thoughts. Not that you actually are, not that you've actually ever communicated to me that you would be thinking those thoughts or that you've said anything that might hint that you're thinking those thoughts. I just think you're thinking them. And so I'm just going to be upset that I think you're thinking something. Just a huge waste of time and something that took me a long time to get over. But now that I don't do that, like it's just
Sounds freeing.
it's so freeing. It's just a breath of fresh air to just, like I have younger people who I talk to, my brother, his friends, people in his circle. I don't want this person to think this of me, so I'm not going to do this. Or this person, I think they're mad at me, blah, blah, blah. We'll have whole conversations about what they think this person thinks. And I'm like, you have no idea. You didn't talk to them. Did they say that? Then
Hmm.
don't be upset about it. So you have to first understand what you're feeling to be able to understand that you're projecting. And then I feel like there's even people who might deny that they're projecting, like, oh, they didn't text me this thing, so I know that they are upset. But maybe they didn't text that thing because, they dropped their phone or they are doing something else or
Right.
literally any other reason in life.
Yeah, yeah. This whole like if you wanted me in your life, you would pay attention or you would give me your time or whatever it is. It's like, man, maybe they're just like trying to navigate. Maybe they like you just fine. They enjoy talking to you. They enjoy hanging out with you. It's just, they just had some shit they had to take care of, or they dropped their phone in a cup of water or whatever.
I'm absolutely guilty of it where someone will text me and I won't answer for a week. And it's not like I don't like you. It's not that you're not a priority. It's not
Hmm.
that whatever, like I think that you think.
Yeah.
I open something and then I do something else and I get distracted, and that's it. And then 10 other people text me that day, and then your text goes to the bottom of the list, and I think about you a week later, and then I'm like, oh my God, I never texted that person back.
You know what's funny is I feel like my relationship with all of you guys over in Florida is kind of like that. Megan and I have go through these things of like every couple months, like we won't talk for a few months, and then for the span of a few months, we'll basically send postcards back where it's like we're kind of talking about 6 different subjects, and we'll just paragraph them, and then you hit send. But there's nothing that says that. Just because we have technology and we're available at all times, like just because at this very moment I can call you and you could pick up and within 3 seconds we can be connected through our ears, doesn't mean that we need to be giving away our time all the time. So I think it's okay actually to not always be available in that way, form relationships where it's just an understanding where you and your friend are like, hey, we just hit each other back every couple days. Sometimes I don't hit you back, but that doesn't mean that you can't hit me with a new subject next week or,
Yeah.
Bring it back up.
And it's not that I'm mad. It's not that I'm anything.
100%. Yeah. It's navigating this, adding technology to human emotion and what human feeling really is something we got to be patient with ourselves about and forgive ourselves and not be so overly analytical. I love being overly analytical, but when it comes to trying to figure out what other people are thinking, good luck.
Yeah. It also makes I'm more conscious of the way I'm communicating now, because I'm a very private person, but I'm open to being vulnerable. So I don't like to talk about what's going on in my life, but if you ask me, I'm very open. So like there's been a lot of stuff with work going on, and I have to, obviously do my work, but there's a lot of other things in my life that are going on that's preventing me from doing all of my work or doing it as quickly as I'm wanted to do it. And I'm not going to come and be like, oh, I didn't finish it because I have this going on and this going on and this going on and this going on. Those are all true, but I'm just going to get my job done and I'm just going to do it. And I'm not going to say anything. Like I keep my stuff to myself. I'm not going to, shout at the rooftops what I'm doing. But if you ask me what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, I'm happy to, talk about it. Where did that come from? What did you say? There was something else I had, but I don't remember because I don't know how I got there. You were talking about,
Man, no, I'm spacing it. Usually I'm good to give you the cue right away. I get that though. I mean, we're going off projection and trying to figure out what other people are thinking about us and how
asynchronous communication. And then it was I was talking about being a private person, but I'm open. Don't know what that is. Whatever. Asynchronous.
Maybe it was the end of it, yeah.
I was talking to my brother recently, and he was on the phone with someone while in the car with me. And while he's on the phone, he's getting all these notifications, and he puts his phone on speaker and is like, hold on, I can't talk. And then I have to answer all these things. And if I don't answer, they're going to get mad at me. And okay, I can talk now. Hold on. I just got another notification. I'm sitting next to him in the car. Like, are we going to talk?
What about me? Wow. What a stressful life that a lot of young people are feeling the need to live.
Right? Like, how much stress and anxiety do you have because you think that this is synchronous? Like, it's asynchronous. You don't need to answer. You don't. It's just like an email. A text is just like an email, unless you're, I don't know, like I want to say unless you're in a conversation with someone, then like it's synchronous. But even then, like if you're saying like, what are you up to today? I don't have to answer you for hours. Mm-hmm. I can answer later and be like, oh, I did this. What'd you do today? And then you can answer me in 2 days and be like, I don't remember, but today I did this. Like, yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I have one of my friends, sweetest soul ever, but she was talking. It makes me think of, she was talking to this new guy, and there was a moment where she mentioned like, so I waited a couple hours to text him back, or I waited or whatever, and it's like intentionally do that. It's like, man, if you feel like immediately you were excited to talk to them. Respond as fast as you want, bro. Like you don't have
That's
to
hard.
calculate all these things. It's at the same time you don't have to feel guilty about immediately responding. Like sometimes, dude, it's just overwhelm. Like it's just like, man, I just don't know if I'm not able to be present with what I need to do in my life right now and respond to all these people at this moment. And that's okay. It's really not a big deal. And most of the time, if you're just real with the people on the other end and say like, hey, I'll hit you back later. Or, you hit them 2 days after and you're like, hey, sorry, appreciate you waiting, whatever it is, just be where you are with your attention on that thing.
I don't even apologize anymore because like that's just who I am. Like I'm not going to sit there. I might sit there for a while and text you, but like I can't do that. I have other things to do. And so if I don't answer, just assume that I'm going to answer eventually. Like
Right. And they
and that's who
get
I
it.
am. Yeah, they get it. And so I don't apologize for who I am. And I think it's really important to be who you are in all of those situations. And so for that person who doesn't text back intentionally because they don't want to seem XYZ, they don't want to seem needy, they don't want to seem whatever, they want to seem strong, they want to seem whatever. Like you should be exactly who you are in all situations. And I learned that unfortunately from my last relationship where I was disloyal and I didn't tell him about it. And he said, I would have rather you told me so that I could make a decision rather than you making the decision for us and us moving forward based on the decision you made. Like, let me know who you are and what's going on so that I can make the decision for myself. And that really opened the door for me to understand that like, I'm going to be exactly who I am in all situations and everyone else can have their own reaction to it, have their own perception of it, receive it differently. Like I'm just going to be who I am. I'm never going to act like I'm not. I'm never going to act less needy than I am or more needy than I am or like someone that I'm not. Like I'm always going to come into a situation. There's a lot of times in our work where I'm supposed to email nicely and I don't. And it's just, that's not who I am. Like I'm not going to act like someone I'm not. I do a lot of the hard stuff for our company because I'm the person who can do the hard stuff. Like I have the hard conversations and I crack the whip on the people who need it because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not the nice, coddly, oh, you didn't do the thing. Like, it's okay. We don't need it. We just wait for you to do it. Like, there's no, I don't have those bones in my body and I'm not going to act like I do. I'm not going to apologize for myself. I'm not going to apologize for if in a situation I'm doing so many things and I forget my manners. Like I really like to have manners and that's the part of being well-rounded. Like I'd like to be a well-mannered person, but if I'm just doing so many things and I forget my manners, like I'm not going to say sorry. Like I forgot to say thank you. I appreciated whatever you did, but I forgot to say thank you. Mm-hmm. That's just, it is what it is. And I really feel that comes with the authenticity, that comes with emotional intelligence, but it comes from being comfortable with who you are. I'm just going to be exactly who I am in every situation all the time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think just the term allowing your own authenticity is what comes up. Like, just allow it. This is who I am. I think that I mean, I don't know. You kind of paint yourself out to be like some cold, hard, mean, direct person or something, though. I feel like you are good at, even if you are dealing with your own thing and you are still being your authentic self, you're still good in those moments at serving the purpose of the person that you're talking to. Like, I feel like you understand the types of direction that I need in through an email. Like as it, because you are, it's not so much just like this is exactly black and white how it goes. You're dealing with creative people. And when you're dealing with artistic people and creative people, you kind of have to have a different approach. And I feel like you wrangle that really well. You're able to be direct in yourself, but as someone who's on the other end of that email, as a creative person whose mind just doesn't work exactly how other people's do, I feel like you look for that and you account for that.
Well, it's like I said, I have to understand people who I'm working with. And so part of me has to become you. I have to think about how you're receiving an email. So like there are certain things for different people who I know that work. Like I know you specifically like a lot of direction and deadlines. And so when I give you a deadline and I give you, here's my vision, I know that's helpful for you. there are other people, like when I used to send out flight information and things like that, I would ask you to approve a flight, and then you would say, I approve, and then I would book your flight. What my interpretation of that whole charade was that when you approved a flight, I booked it. No communication was necessary. There was someone else that we work with that was like, it'd be nice to receive like a confirmation email that you did it. And I was like, I never thought of that. I just assumed like I booked your flight. You said yes, so I did it. Like, why wouldn't you think that I did it? Mm-hmm. But so, I'm conscious of that. And so I send that out for everyone who might need it. Like, I haven't talked to everyone, but maybe there are other people who also have that concern. So I just send one out to everyone. Yeah. And so I'm just very conscious of that with each and every person I talk to, is that everyone's different, and you have to mold a little bit of yourself in those situations, but you should never not be who you are,
Love that. Abrielle, we're getting up here a little bit in time. I wanted to ask you 2 questions to end it off. And then after that, I want to make sure everybody knows where to find you, where to find your next projects, kind of what you have going on in your world. So the questions that I was thinking of, something that I really enjoy asking other people is, what's the legacy that you want to leave? Like when you think about legacy, like when you leave this earth, whatever comes next for your life being, what's the legacy that you want to live? And then also, if you don't have to intertwine these questions, but you could if you'd like, what does the world need more of right now?
So I won't intertwine those. And I think my legacy is that I want to raise kids who are more open, more accepting, more loving, more full of light, more emotionally intelligent, and, smart. I want to raise those type of kids. I want that energy projected into the world. I want my legacy to be just that overall light and positivity, and any positive impact I can have in anyone's life. I want that. I just want, in every situation I can, I want to make someone's life better, a piece of the world better, any part of any situation I can better. I just feel like I have so much. When I feel feelings, I feel them so hard. When I feel love, I'm exploding with love. When I feel sadness, I'm just so sad. When I see tragedy happen, I'm so sad for the people who are affected by it. Like, I feel the energy of everything. And so I just want everything to be a little bit better by my presence. I just want to be able to interject just that little bit of positivity. And then what do I think the world needs more of? I think the world needs more introspectiveness. I think more people need to be aware of themselves, aware of what they're doing, aware of how what they're doing affects other people. Aware that what you're doing might affect people, and that's not necessarily your problem. People react to everything their own way, and that could be on themselves, but they also need to be aware of how they're reacting and why. I think people I know people who are very emotionally intelligent and very intelligent people that just kind of don't understand themselves, or maybe suppress themselves, or I think that they have feelings that maybe they're not feeling or something. But then I also have people I know that are they think about things just the same way I do. And when we have these conversations, it's just about us and our philosophy and why we do things the way that we do. So I feel like communication between people will be better if we understand ourselves better. More communication, more honesty, more authenticity, not following these brands, not trying to be like you are on social media, just loving yourself for who you are and realizing what that means, and realizing that to love yourself is to not be a good person all the time and be the best and be, all these great things, that you can have flaws and you can be bad at all of these lists of things. And like, that's who you are. For instance, I know I'm not good at being overly beautiful in my emails and stuff, but like, that's who I am. And I have to love myself for that. I was raised to be a blunt woman, and my mom is the same way. She will tell you exactly what she's thinking. And that's how it is with Jewish women. We're just about it like that. So, and I love that about myself. Sometimes I get shit for being blatant and too blunt, and maybe I said something mean to someone, but I'm not going to apologize for it because that's who I am. I need to address maybe like if I do say something that's insensitive, that's something to address. That's something to look at and learn from and analyze. But if I'm just speaking my mind and it's not really hurting anyone's feelings, like that's just who I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. I think more people need to learn about themselves. And I think that'll make everything a little bit easier because when you understand yourself, you can understand other people. And that's just what we need more, is more understanding.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you on all of those points. Abrielle, your perspective is such a gem. I love working with you. I feel like we have a great friendship along with our work relationship. I mean, it just like we've all talked about it, we're definitely missing each other. We all work in live events. And so there's a little bit of interaction. We've done some virtual stuff, but we're all missing each other. So it was great to catch up, and it was great to hear your perspective. I appreciate your perspective and your friendship. Will you go ahead and give the people what's going on in your life in like your social media handles? How can they find you? How can they follow more of you?
So right now, I'm just on Instagram. Find me, Abrielle Haley, AbrielleHayley, one word, all lowercase, no special characters. That's really all I am. That's all I exist in. I try to only exist in that one space. I don't have a lot of social media. I don't post very much on that. So if you really want to get in touch with me, send me a DM and maybe we'll actually have a conversation. But
motivational speakers, if you send her
motivational speakers. I mean, that's the same.
Are you looking to work with anybody? Are you in a place of finding new prospects? Like,
yeah, I absolutely am. My email for that is elevateme, ELLEVATEME @gmail.com. Send me an inquiry. Anything you want to work on, anything you want to do. I am myself in all platforms, so I'm just going to be. If you want to send me a project on my Instagram, we can talk there. If you want to send me an email, we can talk there. Instagram has phone calls now. So if you want to FaceTime me on Instagram, whatever you want to do, I'm about it. So thank you, Jake.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. Reach out, people, like if you want to work together, it's a good thing that we have here, like I just imagine you in 10 years, like you continue pursuing all these things that you're pursuing, continue your work ethic, continually improving, like the sky is the limit for you. I think that's absolutely the truth.
It really is.
Listeners, I hope you have a good day. I hope you work out, not just to burn some calories or get in shape for that vacation coming up. I hope that you work out to feel good, to do your best, to live a self-actualized life. I hope that you're drinking water and not making any excuses for yourself about this dang water thing. Figure out what works for you with your diet. Be aware. What's your posture like right now? Did I mention drink water?
Yeah, sit up straight. Stop this hunching thing that's happening.
Yeah, it's funny. I always mention those like at the beginning and the end of the podcast because I have a lot of friends who have told me like, dude, you say it and it brings it to my awareness, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I need to sit up straighter. Oh, I actually haven't drank any water. So it's all stuff that helps. Abrielle, thanks again. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jake.
All right. Have a good rest of your day, listeners.
I still didn't finish my tea.
Knowledge is power.